How do you do it? I haven't done it so long. Oh, there it is. Yeah, man. Okay, Martin, Ananda. Let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I better double check everything since. So somebody else is having a problem. I know something's gonna it's coming, man. Okay, I'm on here.
I
Yeah,
can
there
feel
we
it.
are. Yeah, we're good. Here, let me tag
Jordan?
you. I'll tag you that way you don't have to. All right. Yeah, man. I just saw you like I don't know how long you been back on.
I
Let's
don't
see.
know,
We got
a few days, a few days. I don't know how long it is. It's like yeah, a few days, but it's been like
here.
whirlwind of stuff coming.
Let's
Yeah, I
see
think I just
here.
got on Facebook 5 or 6 days ago, maybe.
Oh yeah. This is weird, man. There's nobody here.
Mm,
This is crazy. Okay, hang on. Let me check YouTube. I see one, which is probably me. Others is Jana.
yeah,
Here, let me see here.
there's definitely something going on with
So,
fun book for sure.
something's happening, man.
Yeah.
Something's going on here. I don't really know what it is. Let me see if I can. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, there's Victoria. Cool dip. Okay, I guess. Oh, that's YouTube. You got one
Mm.
Facebook, three YouTube. Yeah, some weird shit's going on. We'll talk about it. I had a big lockout with Facebook an hour ago. I got one right now with them, but at least it's
Same.
going through to the multi stream. That's weird.
I'm
They're
sorry.
letting it go,
I'm
huh?
sorry for the Facebook bros.
It's not you, dude. This thing's fixing to rock out. How much time do you got?
I'm good. Whatever. We're good.
Like
We're
an
good
hour
to
and a
go.
half? Like an hour and a half?
Let's flow. Let's flow. We're
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
What?
Let me look at this. Okay. All right, man. I guess we're just gonna have to go with it, man. Yeah. There's one person in Facebook on 3 platforms. So there might be some people on the network.
Hmm.
Yeah, just real quick. So we're live on the network. Oh yeah, we're just getting started again. We've been in hiatus and we're going to talk about that. I don't know what's been going on with Martin, but I believe Martin's probably the first or second person we've had on since we actually launched the network uh, 5 days from now a year ago on
Hmm.
the 10th Morgan's birthday on the 10th of March. So we're coming up on our anniversary, but I don't know. We did a Soldier Fest the weekend of my birthday in December in Houston, which was wild. It was wild. It was the third one in 3 years, and people came from all over the world, man. It was wild. Like
Man.
Sweden, London, Liverpool, Dr. Joe, Norway, Canada, uh, Mexico. Man, it was something else. But anyway, so I came out of it, and I'm like, holy man, I can't do this anymore. I just went bam, and I was just like, I'm done, man. I can't do any. And I spent like 6 weeks trying to, you know, trying to like figure out what am I going to do, man. I mean, I'm done. I mean, I can't. I felt like I almost had a nervous breakdown. Morgan and
Hmm.
I had to separate for 11 and a half weeks from August 20th till 9 November.
Wow.
So that was in there and that was all in the cards. I mean, it was everything, of course, made sense, not right when it was happening, but it was just this whole rush. And then I woke up on the 11th November and it was like, hey, and we were done 11 and a half weeks. And I woke up and it was like, y'all are on the other side now, meaning all of us, right? And then they said, all that stuff's over there, it can't touch you now. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
first thing I'm doing, I'm going to message Morgan, reach out to Morgan just to make sure everything's copacetic. And it ends up, we just went, poof, came right back. Everything starts blowing up. 30 days later, had the Soldier Fest.
Wow.
Uh, about the 11th of January, because I kept telling people, this is what I'm getting, this is what I'm getting, right? And about the 11th of January, I saw it. Okay, almost like like everybody caught up. Not saying that I was ahead, but just whatever the case was, like what I was seeing. Like leave that shit over there, homie. We're going this way.
Hmm.
And then January and February were the same as they were in 22 and 23. Like I knew going into it, it was like it's going to be like the cold winter. You're going to be doing like everyone's going to be uh, in solitude and the whole time, Solargy's just sitting there. No, nothing. I can't do anything. I can't get the producers on. I can't do anything. and I'm thinking, man, this is weird. But my soul kept saying, hey, don't worry about it. And then 2 days, really 2 days ago, I woke up and said, okay, man, it's time to get to work. So, yeah, we had a big meeting yesterday with Victoria Roth. She's helping us out, and we're going to get the producers back on and have no idea what the hell we're doing. And, but my understanding is as the individual goes, as Solji goes, as we've all gone. So something has happened. Like this is the beginning of the new year or something. I don't know, but man,
Mm,
it's like
yeah.
in the third eye stuff and the animal encounters and so many different things. Like so, I know we got a lot to catch up on. But so
We do. We do.
you've been gone till I'm not gone, but I haven't even been on Facebook, by the way. Like I mean, I don't even go on.
No.
No, for
Oh.
me, that's what I mean. It's a 12 year. It was a 12-year run, and then I just said, "Fuck it, I'm done, man." Like I'm literally like thinking, I'm gonna walk off the edge of the earth. I'm done. And but so then I saw you like a week ago because we did 4,400 shows. I did, Soul Speaks 5D up until like May or June. I probably done since then, but that's about to change. I probably done like maybe, let me think. I'd say probably about 40 or 50 with about 10
Mm,
of those, 10 of those in the last 2 weeks. So
wow.
yeah, so I'm going to get back into about 40, 45 a month. And I'm coming out with a new show, which is going to be one or two times a week. And it's going to be topic based. I don't know if it's going to be two shows. It's going to be 1 or 2 days a week, and I believe it's going to come out of the blocks as just men on the show. But we're not
Mm.
going to talk about the shit we talked about all these years. We're not going to talk about you telling me or me telling you how to do things or what's up. We're going to dig deep into the part of the male that the women don't know about. All right. We're going to talk about, stuff like when did you start masturbating and why? How often were you doing it? I don't think, just as one example, I don't think women really understand that part of our evolution. You wake up every morning with and you're stiff as a board and you're 15 years old and you know what I mean? And you're like, what do you do with this? Right. But, with that over there, because every time I hear about the sexual distortion of the men, it's about porn, it's about this, it's about that. Right. So I don't know, man. I got this download and I'm like, okay, let's rock, so, but anyway, so you've been gone. Well, we did a show. You and I did a show when I launched the network. So probably like May, maybe June, maybe April, May. It was an
Yeah.
excellent show. And we've done so many other, and here's the other thing. If you people out there, I'm excited. But the thing about it is every time him and I get together, no BS, there's some major stuff happening. Like it's major, right? And I feel like that's what's happening this morning. But yeah, tell us where you've been. Tell us where you've been for the last 6 months. How you and your
Oh,
beautiful
man.
family are doing. And I know you
Yeah.
bounce around Europe sometimes. So like, what's been happening?
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good to see you. Good to hear all is flowing and moving, and so many clicks with what you've shared already. So many like light bulbs going off and shared experiences as always. The last time we spoke, I can't remember when it was, but I was in Glastonbury and we
Yeah.
had a chat, and I mean literally just after that I had first, and then we had just this complete meltdown and just a huge setup where the holy wrath and holy rage had to come out. Some boundaries I'd not said very well in a community I was part of, and like literally the day after I spoke to you, we were in Glastonbury, and then just all heaven and hell broke loose. And so after that,
That's what
that
that's what
I mean,
ha- that's
hurry
what
up.
that's what happens with illuminating experiences.
Jeez, it was insane, brother. Insane, really insane. And really, I mean, no, I can laugh about it now. I wasn't laughing at the time. It was horrible at the time, but beautiful now. And that led, so since August as well, we're living in a what you would call a RV, recreational vehicle. We've
Right,
been
like a
living that.
caravan. I think they call them
Yeah,
caravans.
motorhome we call here. Yeah, RV.
Yeah.
And so after that process, because this didn't just include me, this was me, Elise, and Angelo. This is what it was, why it was most important. It was like he was involved, and this was like, whew, man, it was intense.
Oh,
But
he was involved too?
yes, and
Now
this is what
how old is he now?
he's
3?
5. He's
Oh
5.
my God, have we known each other that long? Jeez, I remember when this kid was born, man.
Yes,
I
yes.
remember when this kid was like communicating from the womb and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, he's
Whoa, that's
5 in
wild.
October. Yeah, and so
Mm.
it was so intense, brother, so intense. I don't really need to go into the story too much, but
Yeah.
similar, just blow up, just everything blown apart.
So
And
this is
then
August, you said? August?
I think it was August.
Dude, that's when we split on August 20th. Like Morgan
This
and
is
I,
what I want.
yes.
Well,
Okay,
this is
go
what I
ahead.
want to tell you because
Yeah.
so we came home from Glastonbury. We're in the motorhome. We go up into the mountains, the highest part of Portugal, and then me and Elise have this for the first time. We're together. We got together on winter solstice 2015, and for the first time we were going our separate ways. It
Oh wow.
was horrible,
Oh
brother. It was
my
horrible. It was intense, and you're talking about shape-shifting reptilians. I'm talking full-on entities were in the place trying to pull us apart in every
yeah.
way possible.
Yeah.
I'm not joking, and it chills me. Like I've never. I don't know. See, like physical human like interactions, I fall to pieces when I'm in the energy body and dealing with these beings. It's easy, but we were dealing with entities that I mean, it just makes my skin crawl even thinking about it now. It was like chilled my soul, but we got through it. Thank
Wow.
fuck we got through it. We got through it, but it was the first time that it was ever even a possibility that we thought, no, we can't do this. And
Wow.
this is it on the top of the mountains in a motorhome, and I like Angel, my son's there, like he's in the middle of this. Not this part, he was sleeping in his bedroom, but brother, the energies was unreal. It was,
Wow.
phew. But we got through it, and so we're still in the motorhome now. We come back to the south of Portugal, and we spent the winter time in this kind of like camp place, and yeah, a few days ago, I got the kind of nudge to come back here or come back onto like Facebook and stuff because after I got banned, it was like 2 years or more. I got banned, all of them. I tried to open one other time, I got instantly banned. And then the other day, I was like, oh, let's try it. Or just got this idea, okay, let's try it. And I opened it and it stayed. So, and then
Wow.
just, yeah, craziness.
Dude, so I don't know if you
Exact
know
same
that.
time it was happening.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but um so many couples split. So many
Mm,
couples split at the last 6 months of the last half of last year.
didn't make it.
Some of them came back together and some of them
Oh,
didn't, man. And I'm not going to name any names, but people that we know, people that have been on the show as couples, people that have been established doing the work for a long time, stuff like that.
I'm getting
So there
chills.
was a
I'm getting chills as you say that, brother.
dude.
I don't know. Whoa.
I'm telling you, man. I mean,
Whew.
you talk about getting your balls squeezed. I mean, it was a, but when I woke up on the 9th of November, and here's the other thing, like one of the other things that's accelerating is everywhere you go, every single day, if you're looking, and it's not that difficult, you can see the universe talking to you all these different ways, and that has really increased since the 9th of November.
Mm.
But yeah, man, it's like I don't know how I would explain it, because like even the last month, like January, man, by the 8th of January, I told Morgan, I'm like, holy crap, this month in 8 days is bigger than everything we've ever experienced. And then we get to the end of January, and I'd say there was like 3 or 4 cycles in January. And of course, it's centered on the individual and the couple and the family, right? And then February, and then right at the end of January, somebody goes, well, February is going to be like, and of course, and there were 6 cycles for me, and we had all this stuff going on. But every time, and I think people have been talking about this, the stuff comes, you take it in, and boom. I mean, it stings like hell, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side, right? I
Yeah.
don't know. There's just this higher level of understanding, and I feel like March is, well, hell, we know, man. We got a equinox, we got a April 8th, we got a the 8th or 9th solar or lunar full eclipse that's happening in the United States exclusively since it's
Mm.
been created in 1776. There's just a lot of stuff happening. And then, of course, people like Franco forecasting this very time, saying this is it, man. And then
Mm.
the distortion is going to get louder because all our expansion is getting louder. And then we're having these situations like you're talking about. I mean, dude, you're on top of a mountain, okay? Which is probably holy ground,
Oh,
and probably somewhere that the three of you have stepped before. That's what I'm finding too. Like these
yeah,
places you go, like they're waiting for us, like they're calling you. I don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Man, it was so intense. And like we're in a motorhome, when you're like when you're in a house, you can go and go into another room, go outside. We were like literally in a cauldron. We're in this tiny space, and you have to go through it. And it was, oh man, never been through anything like it. And it was for real. We there was nothing we could do. But the influence, I could see it afterwards. At least
Yeah.
wasn't so aware. I could see it afterwards. The influence. So there was an energy that was putting these sacred union, or trying to put
Right.
these. It was coming between them, and to be honest, that's still happening. I'm seeing it still happening. But more and more, like you're saying, we're just stepping into
Right.
I feel just more in our strength and our power and our hearts, uh, and it's less and less able to drive us apart. But I can, in communities and relationships and these things, there's an energy that is really,
I agree.
you know, it's it's threatened by these sacred unions. It's threatened by these communities. It's like it's it's like it doesn't get its food from that, you know.
Right.
And you're talking about that in 2012. I never had any of this sort of stuff, like going back, but like in that period of time that we're talking about now, I've seen some stuff with my physical eyes that I would never believe was possible. I'm seeing stuff like,
Yeah.
honestly,
I I haven't seen dark. I'm going to say dark because I've always had a relationship with the dark, but
mm,
I've not seen dark or sensed dark apparitions in quite some time. But
mm,
I'm very aware of these energies that have seek to divide us.
yeah,
And it's so wild because we've been together going on 9 years, and of course we haven't been together physically for three,
mm,
almost three, and we're working on that. By the way, I mean we're in immigration. We've been in for quite some time, and so the thing is, it's like like we both know in every other dimension, every other timeline, we're like this, like the orders are coming in, but the human is I don't know, man. It's like what? It's like the foot soldier or something. It's like the Marine. If you look at the U.S. forces, they send the Marines in first to go knock down walls, and they get annihilated. But but it's I don't know. I feel like that the tides turn, but my I don't know where you're at with this, but to me, with everything that's happened, it feels like, and I've never got collective intel, by the way, Martin, until January. And it's coming in more and coming in more, third eyes more, and a lot of different things happening. But it
mm,
feels like to me that this is the final preparation, the roots being ripped out. And we could talk about some of the experiences that we've all had, but like it's for me a lot of reptilian stuff.
yeah,
Okay. The reptilian tail connected into the tailbone. That's where the activity's been, or that's where the deconstruction's been over the last 2-3 months, even up until the last couple of days, even right now as I sit here.
mm,
Um, and there's something going on there. Like they talk that what is it? The mouth of God at the top of the spine.
yeah, yeah,
This to me would be the same thing, but at the bottom. And I've been going through these exercises. I lay on the ground, and I can't when I started. I can't lay down in my head. I can lay down, and my head will be this far off the ground. I can't lay it back. So gradually, I work it, and every time it pops up here, it pops down there. And I've had
mm,
some major manipulations in an area where I've had atrophy, and literally my back's been just like a bamboo. And
mm,
so it's popping open. And then of course there's other things happening. I brought my mother home, and that's a whole other story. The the mother energy, and after having not
Wow.
talked to her for 6 years and stuff. But my point is, I feel like that what's going on is this is the last cleansing for people like us.
Yeah.
And I think on the other side of this eclipse, and I'm not trying to put anything in the field, but let me put it this way. I wouldn't be surprised, because it only makes sense that the distortion expands
Yeah.
one last time, yet at the same time, individuals like all of us here today are expanding.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about, staying in the power, and that's going to be our that's going to be what our task is to basically do what the three of you have been doing through it all on a microscopic level, right?
Oh man, it's intense. It's intense. You know, anytime I talk about on these videos, we talk about these. I call them rascals. I like to give them little names like rascals. Everything start to mess up. The technology messes up. There's always like people will disappear. They'll come off. It'll turn off. Technology turns off. It always happens, and it's it's natural. It's natural as we expand in light. We expand in awareness of what has always been here, but it's just been hidden. And what's happened over the past 3 4 years, what was really hidden is becoming seen now. And I
Yeah,
agree with you. It's its last. It has to come into the scene. Before it was always from the shadows, from below, and so it was using its influence covertly. And now it's at the point, because of the expansion of light, it can't really hide. And when I say it's part of all of this, all of us, all of this. It's just been shown. The
yeah,
collective shadow, you could call it, whatever, and whatever form it takes, it doesn't really matter. But it can't be hidden anymore, and it's actively showing its face, let's say.
yeah,
um and wow, whew, it's amazing. It's amazing how I kind of fell into this path. I never knew how I ended up in this kind of field, in this world. And it's just amazing, like you're saying. But there's also a recognition when you're in these spaces. Yeah, this is what we do. This is it. But there are moments when the human gets, like, you know very overwhelmed, like,
yeah,
to this,
yeah.
like, it's not for the faint of heart.
No, no, it's not. And I've never believed. I honestly believed. I never embraced or really. It never really even mattered. That there's a group of us. And I've never
Mm,
said this, but I mean, I've been on it the last couple of months for the exact thing that you're talking about. Like, we come down here every time one of these things goes down, something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
mm,
But this one, like the the frequency of people hitting me up saying, "Hey, man, y'all were in my dream last night,"
yeah,
and then all these physical synchronicities. It's leading up, and then more recognition, more memories, and that type of thing. But going back to what you're saying with these, what do you call them? Little demons? What?
rascals.
Rascals.
In Ireland, when a little boy or girl is like behaving badly, we call them rascals. I never give it any more power than, because
Yeah,
it doesn't have any power, only the
right.
power we give it. So I call them rascals, little rascals.
Well, I mean, if you look at the archonic energy, that's pretty much what it is. Bunch
Yeah.
of little rascals running around here. I mean, I know people that have actually seen that. But okay. So beneath this all, this is, and I got to be careful what I'm saying here. But I do want to say this: what you're talking about, the whole thing, or somebody just made a comment about how their boyfriend, that she thought their boyfriend was possessed. Right? It's
This is
so weird
what I'm
seeing,
talking about.
yeah, seeing different energies within a person, be it your partner or not, but knowing that person is there. I mean, it's just weird. But okay, this thing with the sexual distortion seems to be the seed of it all. It seems to be that this is where the in the tinkering of the DNA, or whatever you want to call it, in the setup to the corruption of the mother. And then from there, obviously the masculine's affected, and then the wheels start turning. And I'm finding, and so what you said, I'm finding that the sexual distortion is coming out to be seen in the circles that are the personal circles, which can only mean it's going to follow suit externally in the collective. And I'm about to walk into I'm in a situation right now that within the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to walk into this space, and my soul's telling me pretty much, you're going to have to be like Jesus, man. You're going to have to hold, just like as we will all do if things get really distorted in the world, and we're just going to have to stay in our power, like you're talking about in this personal episode you and your family have gone through on top of a mountain in an RV. But it's everywhere, man, and
Mm,
all the skeletons are coming out. I can't really go into big details because it involves my family, my children, my parents, my brothers, my sisters, my aunts, my uncles, an entire lineage of people that are still present, and of course forward and backward. But
mm,
I feel like that this is kind of what our what our we're afforded is to find another way, is to bring compassion into this and take the judgment out, and take the personal out of it. Especially, it's most difficult when it's somebody that you love and that was a family member and all that stuff, right? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
we talked about it. We talked about it on the last show. I had memories come back in
Oh,
2019. Yeah,
mm.
it all come back in 20. Well, it didn't all come back. Parts come back in 2019. Parts come back in 2020, and we did a lot of work on that as well. And that was more. That wasn't family. That was energetic ritual. We talked about it in that last one. Don't want to talk about too much, or we'll get shut down here completely. I'm
That's
sure.
it. Did we talk about that last time?
We
We
did.
talk
We did.
about we talk about the dark sex magic.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, the non-human interference with
yeah,
divine humans and
yeah.
all of that. But so rather than going down there, I think yeah we have went over that. I want to just go cycle back to something you said there about the men's work. So in my 2 year hiatus, going into the cave, one of my kind of what will we say? Just guidance that I was given was to go into men's groups. I'd never done it in my life. I was to go into all of these men's groups, and I was for about a year. I was to go into these men's groups, go in, be part of it, see what men are facing, and really be part of it for a while. And
Wow,
wow, it was intense, brother. It was really intense.
really?
Yeah, it was really intense
How did you
because I
find
feel like
them? Did you form them, or did you go seek them
no,
out?
no, I don't. No, I had to go in completely. This was part of it as well. I had to be in 2 years of where I was not holding space in any form, shape at all. So I wasn't not for the whole 2 years. I was still holding space in a very small group, but in this spaces, I had to go in and just be there and get in touch with my own stuff. I'd never been in men's groups before, but I had to go into several of them for a certain amount of time and to get in touch with male masculine suffering and the challenges that they're facing. And it wasn't necessarily spiritual groups as well. It was to see what's happening to them, the male energy. And
Wow.
um, after I come out of that, after a little while, firstly, the first thing I was like just shocked by the suffering, like you were talking about, some of the issues you were saying about there, like the suffering that men are going through is like I was so disconnected from that I couldn't believe it,
Wow.
because I feel like, well, I feel like I know the world that I've been in since I've been in this, it's massively dominant with feminine energy, and for very good reason. And that so I think I was so far removed from that. I had to get in touch with that and get real with that and see what it's like to live as a man. I was so far removed from it, so that was the first big shock for me. But what came from it afterwards, so men's work, they call it like men's circle, and it's
Right.
like what you were talking about. I was given this afterward, and I've still not done it. Maybe this is like the kick up the backside to get it done. Is that I was given a men's sphere instead. So the circle is like the two-dimensional flat things
Okay.
we're talking about, all the stuff we talk about, and like a lot of these is just getting in touch with emotions and stuff like that. But this is like a men's sphere, and it's like going deeper. So we're going into the depths, but going expanding outwards as well. I haven't acted on that as yet, but that's something that I'm being called to, this men's sphere, this idea, men's sphere rather than men's circle, men's sphere, multidimensionality, into the depths, the stuff that they never share, which happens in some men's circles, I suppose. But the multidimensional aspects, the expanded masculine, the divine human as a masculine form. So interesting when you were sharing, everything you were sharing was just
I
like
know.
ding,
Well,
ding,
you're
ding.
saying this to me right now. My spine's tingling right up to the back of my head. So yeah, that's really the sphere thing. I really like that because so much of the even last night I woke up in the middle of the night and hit Morgan up and we did a session and everything I was seeing was I wouldn't even call it 3 dimensional. It was like I'm talking about sacred geometry. Like I saw an octahedron immediately that looked 2D, immediately went 3D, and then it went like a lotus, you know, like it had,
Mm,
but it was still octahedron, but it had all these elements. The other thing I've been seeing a lot of is if you look at a torus field, right?
yeah.
And imagine a torus field having like on a clock, like if you're looking at it down at every second you had another one. So it was,
Mm,
and then it had movement. So it almost looks like a ball, you know, like or a sphere, but
yeah.
it's a torus field that's 360 degrees. At every degree it has it has its individual
Mm,
plane of a torus. So but going back to the masculine thing, man, this is I felt this, and I think we talked about this. I mean, I'm talking like 2 3 going back 2 3 years. I kept getting this call like you're going to be, or you need to do something or bring it out, or and then I'm looking around at all the masculine energy, you know, as you go on like Facebook and talk shows and YouTube, and I'm thinking, man, this is the same old.
yeah.
This barrier, this is the last line of separation. So my feminine, my masculine, and it's just been, and of course with my relationship and then the things that happen there, and I'm like, holy shit, you know. But then I started to see that we can that the two energies. It's a weird thing. I don't know how if I can describe it, but it was like the only way that he being the masculine energy, and I'm talking about half of me, you
Yeah.
know, obviously the whole me and the physicality, but half of me, half of all of us. The only way that he's coming to the party is if she kind of like, I don't know how you would say this, but almost like not submits, but
Yeah.
entrust that force because his role is to protect the heart, protect love, but he can't do it until that part of us reaches a point that he knows. Now, if you look at basic human relationships, look the way men are built and the way women are built. But I'm talking about, you know, past most of I'm just talking about basic functions. Like a man, it's important, you know, that he gives. You know what I mean? That's our role. That's how we build this thing. So going just to bring that to full circle, I started seeing how, you know, well, it's like a friend of mine said, you know, it's like you, a friend like you. And I haven't I probably talked to 6 people in 2 months. Okay. Literally. I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding. Two in the last day or two. And so he's like, he was talking to me and it was about Sology kind of. And he was like, because like, well, dude, what the F are you doing, man? And I'm like, man, I'm just like, dude, I'm good. Well, what about Sology? And I'm like, I'm on standby, man, and I'm doing me. You know, I just can't. I'm not going to make. You know, so finally he got it because he's like you, and he goes, yeah. Because something obviously was going both ways. Something was with him. He was feeling the urge, this masculine thing. I got to create, man. I got to go make this happen. But
Mm,
something's not quite. And finally, he just looks at me and goes, man, we just need to show the fuck up. But the way he said it, right? It wasn't like a cocky thing. He just goes, you know what he was saying was, I'm just going to work. I'm going to put this out from my heart. I trust myself. And I think and in that moment, which is about 5 or 6 days ago, and he did after that, it's Ty Hudnall. And then,
mm,
but right after that, I went, bingo. Well, I'm her. I can grant him. I can submit to that authority just as he submits to me as the queen. You know what I mean? Like I saw the geometry and I saw it and I realized that it's the action is what's required. No
Yes.
different than you and your wife and your son being in the top of the mountain and all this stuff going around. You can either sit back on your heels and go, holy crap, or you can stand up and be seen and be counted. Right.
Would you believe I'm literally sat in the exact spot where this happened? And so, like this, like you, I'm comfortable in the dark, and we've dealt with the dark. We've danced this dance, we've shadow danced all through this. But like my partner, my soul partner, she is so pure, like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I don't know how she has been through this many years with me. It's like a literal, that's a miracle in itself. She needs to be a literal saint to be with this one. But it was ice. This energy came through her, and she was sat in the exact spot that I'm sat here, and I was stood there, which like a couple of feet over. And I mean, it like chills me to speak it. That energy, it like shivered me, and then it was just like an energy, like boom, okay. And it was just like, I see you,
Mm,
not her, I see you, and you're coming out of here. And oh, brother. So that's what
wow.
it was, and it was like there would be I mean, it was like there was a bit of collapsing in me for the minute because it was so intense. I've never like I literally shiver when I'm thinking about it here. But then there was just like within seconds, it was like, okay,
Did you feel something come out of you?
no, it's coming. That's what I'm saying. If it was coming through me, that's we've seen that before. This was
Okay.
coming through Elise. This is coming
Oh,
through.
okay. Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make it, I wanted to be sure about that.
So
Yeah.
she's sat here. We're going through this intense thing. We have to do, and then I see this energy is coming through her, and it's like the words is not. It's not her speaking. You know, it's got an entryway. It got an entryway through the energy of what happened in Glastonbury, through loads of other things,
Ah,
and then we. So, but what it's doing again, it's this divisive. But just to your point, it was like there was a moment I just had to just really step forward, and then
right.
energetically, and it was gone. I mean, it took some time, but
That's
it
trippy,
was like
man.
nothing else I've ever experienced, and especially for her,
Yeah.
because like she doesn't have any of the history that I have. She has some, but nothing like what we have. So to see that and like someone, she's literally her name is Elise Angela. She's literally
Okay.
an angel. I'm not joking. She needs to
I
be.
know she is. I met her. I
So
know
to see that coming through, I think someone was talking about it in the chat. To see that coming through,
Mhm.
someone that you just see this purity and just like there's just pure innocence, whether is intense. But it took that okay step forward energetically,
Yeah.
and okay, we're here to do the work, and then it's gone, and yeah, it's about stepping up, and it's an inside job, like what you were talking about, that masculine, feminine within. It's an
Yeah.
inside job. We can't wait for the other
Right.
to embody. Yeah, it's the inside job. It's always that we have to be the surrendered, stepping forward. We have to be stepping forward, surrendered. Like
Yeah.
that's inner job, and this is the mastery, and it's a challenge because so many of us have wounded hearts. We have wounded hearts, and so many men, we have wounded hearts, and
Right.
we're instant defense
Right.
and or instant attack. Wounded heart, and we have to be the heart. We think all of the challenging things to be a masculine. The most challenging thing is to be an open-hearted masculine. That for me, anyway. I don't know about how you feel.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so like this we should go back and revisit your experience with these men's circles because
Yeah,
I think that's one of the things that was, and this is just, and so here you are. I mean, this is like the last 2 days for me. It's like, what is it exactly? Because I never could figure, I never could figure it out. And that, because, these things don't drop until they're supposed to. And then it dropped in, and I was like, it doesn't look like it, but, what it looks like on her isn't what it looks like on him. And nobody even knows who he is because he was an afterthought. We had the feminine that we were exposed to, the masculine we were exposed to. Then we had what 8-10 years of the divine feminine, and they're dominate. They vastly populate these communities
yeah,
and the energies, and we bow to them. But
absolutely.
where is he?
Yeah,
Like the only thing you see out there is a bunch of fucking testosterone. You know what I mean? And that's part of our makeup, but it's not to be like, steroid level,
Yeah.
so and then you have these other guys that were stepping up in the last couple of years, and they were talking, hey man, this happened to me. And I had some really great testimonies come on the show, but that
Mm.
wasn't it, because that was too far over and like say that slippery slope of victim consciousness. This
Mm-hmm.
is a masculine property that is exactly what you just described in that experience. It's where you just go, you know what? We're never going to know it all. The only way you find out is you take those steps, and that's what the masculine energy does. And you're starting to see a lot of women who have that masculine coming in within themselves, and they're starting to create, and you're starting to see more presence of that. So
Mm.
I think this is a huge thing that they can
Really?
they can stand up and be seen. And then the last thing I would say, this Mary Costello, this might be what you were talking about a while ago. So she's talking about I'd love to get her on the show. I think I've asked her a few times, but I respect a lot of these people. They like to be back there, but I love the fact that they bring forth this stuff. So she's talking about this, how the light line of man is fully restoring now, and blood snakes being brought out to be seen and returned to source. And I'm not exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure what she's talking about is within, right? And I've heard some things in the last few days. Morgan does all these groups. She does like 8 groups a week. And some of these stories and even some of the interactions her and I have, these things coming out of the body,
Yeah.
right? Kind of like you talked about where you stepped up and you saw it, you know what I mean? Or you felt it come out.
Yeah.
So this is like, and then what happened in the last 2 days, because I was having out of nowhere this debilitating, freezing of my lower, my lower back, right? My last
Mm.
2 vertebrae. And she tapped in, and it was literally like this AI, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years pushing down, suppressing the masculine energy.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's a bunch of other evidence, but I just feel like what you're saying, again, how do you get there? It takes action,
Mm.
and it's I mean, at least coming from the human journey as a man, playing that role, trying to personify it. There's no book here,
No.
there's just this is a new game we play. So
Yeah.
it's like you got to figure it out, and we
100%.
need that feminine trust in us. You would say, I know we're speaking as men, but I mean, this is really about all of us. But
Yeah.
that's how I looked at it. Was my feminine in me. I love him, like, hey, you know what? Go for it, bro. I got your back, kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah.
Wow,
Oh,
it's
great,
amazing.
man.
It's amazing every time we get together. There's so many like synchronicities of these lived experience, and if we're having it, there's obviously large groups and swathes of
Yeah.
people that are going through this, even
Yeah.
if it's not in couples. But something
Right.
that just came up as you were sharing it there, which is it might help some people. Since that time as well, when I was talking about like seeing that energy moving through something that you see is so pure and innocent, I have also seen like children, like beautiful, innocent children, and I see this energy come like very quickly.
Uh-huh.
It's just coming in, and so it's important. I feel for people to not, how would we say not demonize this. Don't
Right.
demonize this. Don't
Right.
look at this as bad. Literally, you make it bad. You make it evil. You feed it its food. It literally feeds. You talked about archonic energy. It literally
Right.
feeds on anger, fear, separation, war, as we can see in the world. So wherever we see that, the only thing we can do is love it. The only thing
Yeah.
we can do is love
Yeah.
it, and anything other than that, we feed it and we grow it. And so the masculine energy, I still a lot of work to do on this one here. Like the masculine energy is like fight, defend. The
Yeah.
feminine energy sometimes we like come into oneself, and that's within man, woman. Of course, we're always talking, both. My energy is like that, that attack, defend, and this is where all of these energies, where it's like activism, but activism that when beings haven't come to the connection with the darkness within themselves, they literally are feeding the energy they think they're fighting. They're literally giving it
Absolutely.
food,
Yeah.
they're giving it everything that it wants. When you fight against it, you feed it with what it wants. when you're fearing it, you give it what it wants. When you love it, it is no more.
Right on.
There's no
Hang
more.
on one second. Hang on one second.
If I can't make it, I'll come right back.
Mother Universe. That's the only thing else. Dude, you were right there. Let me come back. No, Mary Costello said she's going to come on the show. That's awesome. I just made a note. Wait, dude, you were talking about the children. You
Yeah,
hit
so
on.
I've seen this. I've seen it in children. I've seen this like
Oh,
just for a moment. Just for a moment, I'm seeing this same
yeah,
thing. I'm seeing it,
yeah,
and it's just for a moment. And what I'm saying is, like, someone sees that and they think,
yeah.
"Oh, this is bad. This is afraid." It's the purity that allows it to come through. Actually,
Okay.
no, we think that there's something wrong when someone like quote possessed. No, it's the purity that allows. That's like this energy I found. It wants to be freed from its role. We talked about this before.
Yes.
The beings that are playing, they want to be freed from their roles. They've done their part. They have like knocked it out of the park so much. So they're taking it's the purity, and of course there's energies and other that it can come through, but it's the
Yes.
purity where it can come through, where it can be moved through, really released from their roles. So yeah,
Dude,
only
I,
love.
I mean, this is okay. So Deborah Bell said she's kind of hit it on the head too. Said a mother's loving. It's like a mother loving a naughty child, but understanding why it's happening, not giving into that fear. Great comment. So,
Chills, chills.
so right. So like this happened. So this was 2 days ago when this thing out of nowhere came right to my back. I mean, it was very acute, right? And I'm very sensitive, so I'm like, what the hell? Morgan's like, have you checked in and talked to it? I'm like, man, I know I can't explain it, but I know I've been working on this. I've been working on my spine for months. It's been popping and popping and popping, and I had basically a lower frozen back, lower 3 or 4 vertebrae were just frozen, you know,
Mm.
and so. And of course, our bodies are transforming and this and that. So I'm on it, right? So we go into this. We were going to do a session, and actually, I think we might have just been talking like this all of a sudden. And I was saying, hey, and all of a sudden, because she doesn't like to get like, and that's not that she doesn't like it. She's not 100% comfortable. Like when something comes in, she's like, it's for Todd, and and I'm like, because we're so close, right? So, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, man, let her rip, And then it came into me because this voice, which I know because I know her, is many voices of her multidimensionality into one. And it came into me, and I didn't get to finish because she was like at the end of her day and she was really going into like Delta and shit, and I was just in the middle of the day. But what came into me that I needed to know, I said, okay, wait a minute. I need to know. Look, I know the Arcturians and the Andromedans and then the Pleiadians and the angelics and this and that. I want to know through this transmission and through this communication and communion of the reptilians present. I want to speak to them. I want to break bread with them. I want to be all of them. Whoever's responsible for this, whoever played this role, whoever's part of this makeup is just as much a collaborator as you are. So I want to start talking about that. We don't talk about that. When did you go on Facebook and you see we are the reptilians and this is what's going on? Like you see it with the Andromedans and everybody else, Arcturians, Pleiadians. You're exactly right. These are our children. These are our aspects. And you're right. This is a universal alignment. We're all going to the same place. This is a game that we all agreed to play. But until we can do that, which I believe we're going to be given the opportunity to do, is what I'm alluding to earlier, beyond this eclipse, is where we have to actually do this, not just with the etheric aspects, but with the physical embodiment of those aspects that play the bad roles and this and that. look, I'm about to do this, and I don't know if I'll be able to talk about this, but I think I probably will. But I'm about to walk into a microcosmic field of all of these aspects, where that distortion and that putridness and the horrific and the BS and all that stuff we see from the human perspective is there at the closest of relations that you can have. And everybody swept it under the rug. And it's sitting right there. If I told you everything that was happening, it would blow your mind. And so I know that my task, my honor, is to walk into this place and not just be the Jesus energy or the Mary energy or the whatever energy that turns the other cheek and just says, peace be with you. No, it's, hey, let's pull the demons out. Let's pull the rascals out. Let's pull it all out and come to a place where we can understand that we're all the same. And whoever did what to do, there's a story behind it. There's a program behind it. There's a history behind it, and I feel like that this is going to be something that we're all, if we're not already doing it in our own way, in whatever that looks like on the surface in the physical experience. So this is a huge thing. And I totally agree with you. I mean, when these years, all these years we've known each other, all the years we've been doing this work, how many times do we sit down and go, let's pull up the reptilians. Let's pull up that energy and have a conversation, because you can't touch this. We figured that part out. I'm not afraid of you,
Exactly.
so let's have a conversation. What's going on? It's just like these things that have been coming up in ourselves and in our partners and everybody else. And, and you're going, holy crap, and in yourself, like, what's wrong with me? And you realize, I love that thing that she said about the kid. It's a kid screaming and screaming and screaming, or something screaming and screaming and screaming until you acknowledge it. That's it. Just bring it into the awareness and stop ignoring it and putting it up in the crazy ant in the attic thing. Just go open the door, let her out, and things.
Yeah, amazing, brother. I had a vision dream type thing with one of the characters in it. One of the characters playing the dark roles on Earth now, and so he was standing beside, like, we were standing in a circle, and he was standing like a little kid, and I could feel, he didn't need to speak, I knew what he was experiencing. He wanted to reach out and hold my hand. My God, I feel like I'm going to cry just sharing this.
Wow.
He wanted to reach out and hold my hand, but he was afraid. And this is someone on the worldly scene would be seen as this dark. I'm not going to give the name, because then that's just playing into the lower end.
Right. Yeah.
It's like playing this role on the world, and he really wanted to, hold hands and like, okay, let's, we're in this together, and couldn't do it. And then back to your point, I had to reach out my hand, and then it came together.
Right.
And then it was done. But it's like this action. It's like this taking this step. It's not like waiting. It's like waiting for this event and boom, everything's fine. This stuff really gets me. Since I fell into this field, people have been talking about this event since ever it began. And where is this event? The event, we are the event happening now. We are the event happening now. Don't wait for this event out in the future. We are the event happening now. We need to reach out our hand, whatever that is for you. Yeah. Man, it was,
dude. That's you just said that, and I saw something last night. And again, I think
that
huh? Do what?
Is the event tomorrow? Did you see I posted the events tomorrow?
Yeah. And again, like, to be careful in how the energy we put out, because we are becoming more. We're getting it done, man. And so there's this. What? There's a prominent energetic, it's a couple, and one of the things that you can see that's happening, Morgan and I were just talking about this the last couple of days, because she kind of experiences everything through her groups, I mean, not everything, but like that, like I do with the show, I've been kind of like, able to see what's happening through the process and the evolution of the shows. And so I see this prominent, and he's talking about this thing that's going to happen the first part of April, and I just started.
I'm open to it, but I've been waiting
No. I'm what I'm saying. I mean, like, me too. I'm no judgment, dude. But what I'm really looking at was this continuation of this fall of, and I know this is really hard to explain without sounding like an a-hole, but it's like the guru, the yogi, the teacher. It's not that there's less relevance. It's just it's the ways and the means that's changing. And so what I really got from it, because I mean, I looked at that, I'm like, how many times we heard that, and so, but no big deal, no harm, no foul. But we were talking about how everybody has a piece now, and people are stepping up with their piece. Here's my piece of the jigsaw puzzle. Here's my piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And I think that forecasting, because I'm like you, I don't even have to ask you. Like, anything comes in the door, I don't care if it's Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. I'm asking questions. I'm pushing back. I'm saying, okay, what's beneath this thing here? I have the right as a sovereign soul to express myself, my curiosity, my innocence. You know what I mean? So I don't. In fact, I believe, personally, for me anyway, that I had more to look at in terms of owning my sovereignty and therefore standing in my power with those things we see as light than those as the dark. Like in the dark, when I first met him, like that thing I was telling you about, I'd bow up and say, "Hey, man, you can't F with me," like you're shape shifting in front of my face. But how much power do we give up to what we perceive as fluffy love and light, right? Like, think about that. Like, that's why anyone comes in the door, I always say to the mother goddess, to the grandmothers, to the godfathers, I say, I am here to serve, but I am my own being. I am soul, So I think that you look at it both ways. And if we're going to embrace the dark part of or the aspects and open our heart to them, where does the inverse of that on the other side? You know what I mean? It's almost like we have these aspects speaking to us. And yes, they have this highest and best thing, and they've got a higher level of whatever. But they also have a specificity, and they have you might even say, an agenda or a specialty that can look. They're parts of us, and they're parts of us that are powerful. So I just think, in order to keep the field balanced, we look at both sides of it. And I hope to see this dialogue, like with the men thing. I hope to see the dialogue of, have you talked to your dark aspects lately?
So I don't know if we've ever talked about this before. Maybe we have. I don't know if we share this or not, but definitely my Orion connection. Like, I don't feel like one specific. I feel like connected with them all. But if I had to pick one, it's Orion is the one, and that's very strongly linked with the energies and those who've been playing these roles for us. And that's why, like you, I'm very comfortable with that. No, I described that experience like the human shuddered, the divine human let go, let's go, but that connection, that Orion connection, is very strong. And you rarely hear a little bit about it, but you don't hear so much. You hear it again, you hear a polarized, you only get the one side of it. If you hear about it, you don't hear about the dark side and people feeling connected with that. I mean, I've seen it, but it's like absolutely minimal. It's very minimal, I feel. So yeah, I'm with you. I feel
and
like
if it's no, I'm with you. And yes, we haven't talked about this. And yes, I totally agree with you. And yes, I've been getting this probably the most consistent thing I've gotten since 2011 has been the Galactic Wars. Even like 3 or 4 days ago, like Orion and Lyra were coming in again, and it was all about, I think it was last night, and the Lyran, the part of us got, taken over and effed over. And again, if there is something spoken about those particular energies that came out of Orion that we played at that time, it's not good. You know what I mean? So here we go again. Right. But yeah, I absolutely, like I said, to me, the only way I could really explain it was like when that happened to me the other night. And I said, I want to speak to that part of me. Look, we get fed constantly, and you've got to look, behind who's providing this information. If NASA's giving you the space weather, and the CIA's behind Facebook, and I love this. People come online. I used to get kind of upset, and they'd be like, "Oh, Trump," or "Oh, Biden," or I'm thinking, "Wait, well, you're a fucking light worker, man." But then they'll come out and say, "Look what happened. Look what they told us." And I'm like, "Look who told you." Right? So think about it. They're super ahead of us. We've caught up. This was a game. And if you look at, for instance, Lyra and Draco from Orion, right? Now, just change the face. Let's say Todd was Orion Draco and Morgan was Lyra. Energetically speaking, what are we actually doing here? I don't know about you, but I can tell you the greatest gift from my relationship is the trigger. It's the mirror. It's the catalyst, and so it's actually growth. It's not agitation so much as it's movement. The universe never stops moving. So, man, I'm so with you on this. And you read about. And I'm not knocking anybody because all this information are pieces. But if you look at Lisa Renee and you look at different things, they talk about it to the point where there's no way you can find unity because there's this dark, distinct separation. Yeah. That's really the narrative. That's the value. The value is, wow, we did this. This is how this was set up. This is how we fucked over the architecture and the geometry. Whoa, but this is how we set it up, erased our minds to come back and rebuild it. This is God in motion,
For sure. Separation, and there's good versus evil, and any sort of separation feeds separation. It's like literally as simple as that. And again, as I say, you get that, these really strong, and I get it. We fall into these polarizations. It's like Thoth talks about, this pendulum swing. You can polarize to one or the other, but we are coming now to the middle way. We're coming to this. We're able to see this and this, but we're not getting pulled into this or that. We're, like you just shared there, we're able to be that middle way, that one that sees this and that, and this is part of me, and it's inside me, and it's outside me, and but if it's based in separation, doesn't matter how high the wisdom is on that, it's feeding separation, and the only end to it is more separation, and that's that drops a lot of timelines for people. It drops a lot of identities for people, and it's hard to let go of that, because if you've seen yourself as this warrior of the light, I feel we're warriors of the light without war. We're warriors with no war in there. We can be warriors of light without war,
right?
But that's a hard one. If you've built and felt your whole identity, your whole thing is to uncover this and fight it, and whatever, all the permutations of that. It's hard to let that go, because how do you just turn up one day and just say, okay, no, none of that. I'm not going there anymore.
Yeah, it's and the experience itself is like the more facets of the experience, the bigger your palette is to paint with. So that's kind of what we've really done here. God got us in motion here, and you brought up Thoth, which has been pretty loud for me. It's really weird because it's kind of like crept, like it's there, and then
same for me. You literally exact same for me.
Yeah, like I tell you, every time we get together, it's something's happening. So my friend brought me this thing from Egypt. Scarab.
It's lapis?
Scarab.
No,
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it is lapis. It's scarab. She just went to the pyramids.
Yes.
But so Thoth is a great example, because if you look at what's her name, Ashiana Dean, which I respect. I look at lots of different things. Where Ashiana Dean's got some massive library of apparently channeled stuff that's so intricate, and anyone that's ever dipped into it, I would say on the level of a Lisa Renee, or maybe beyond it. And a lot of people. But again, everything is a piece. Now, in her story, in her retelling, in her downloads, she talks about all of this stuff like in great detail, the whole line of it, but she talks about those. And even that character, even that part of us, even that archetype had all this good stuff, right? And then turned. Now, this is a story and it's a narrative, but it's also a piece of our puzzle that just to me, whether it's true or not, isn't really the point. The point is, am I open? Because look, if I give all my stuff to Jesus or all my stuff to the Arcturians, I'm too much light is as bad as too much dark, if you want to put it in those terms, right? So just the fact to be open. Now, the only thing that seems to be different is that person that I look into her eyes every day. Like through it all, like something's different about you. I don't know what it is. Maybe we're the same. So I have no idea, but I can't even get away from that if I want to, and vice versa, right? You know what I'm talking about. But other than that, it's like, and even then, how have Todd and Morgan progressed all these years through it all, like through this stuff that doesn't matter? What do you mean? You guys are like you are, and you're had made a choice to be apart for 3 years? Like, that's not how this works, man. This is a multidimensional experience. But do you know how that's happened? It's happened through surrender. How many times we've been asked to let it go? I mean, I'm talking 50, 75, maybe 100 times. Are you willing to let this go for the highest and best good of all? And the humans going, no, but this is it, man. I mean, energy's not stagnant, and the thing is, whatever we surrender, you never lose it anyway. How can you detach from something you're always connected to, looking at you and everyone else here?
Yes.
It's impossible.
This is something that come out over the last few years, this idea that somehow people could be separated from source. This is like the ultimate separation, this is the fall from the garden. Somehow you take this action and you're going to be separated from source. And like, no matter, like, it just doesn't make sense. Separation is separation. And if you feel like you can be separate from your source, source is not source. Source is source. There is only source. There might be parts of source that you don't like. There might be parts of source that you feel like you're separate from. It doesn't mean that you're separate from it. Source is source. There might be, like in our context, you can say there's the filter over it, pretending to be something else, but there isn't anything else. There is only this what is, and we are part of that, and we are remembering that, like remembering, bringing back the members of that together through our each unique journey and perspective, and it keeps shifting, and it's fun, and it's fucked up, and it's crazy, and it's scary as shit, and it's mad, and it's, oh my god,
that's funny.
But wow. But thank you for keep saying yes to that surrender, and thank you for because I don't wow, that energy, the intensity of that energy to put us apart is like so strong. And so people, whether they're in a relationship or not, or a group or not, people feel that within themselves. They feel like they're being divided inside themselves.
Yeah.
And just like everyone that's here, you're here because you said yes, and you stepped. You're still saying yes, even though you feel like, fuck this, I'm done.
I know, man. The last part of February, I would sit here. So I moved home with my mom, and I reunited, and then she was in a senior home, and it'd been 6 years, and so it all worked out. I took her to Sedona. It was awesome, man. I mean, she's freaking expanding, purging, seeing stuff. I mean, it's just been wild. We got relatives appearing over her bed in full form. I mean, it's just like, it's that multidimensionality and memory coming back into flow, and your human doesn't have it all like, 100%, but like you can see the dotted line, right? But God, I don't even know where I was going with that. So I came back here, and I'm in my studio where I started when I came off the streets 12 years prior, right? Where I did the first video, right? So I'm laying here the last part of February, and I'm having that talk, with the universal, and I'm like, hey man, okay. And it was going deep, like, and there's all the energy in the air and all these experiences I've been having outside. And it was like, hey, they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I said, but if you're telling me that this is a big psyops, I'm still soul, and I'm not changing nothing. You know, it's not about a belief system. It's not about that. It's not about an oath or a pledge. It's just simply, I am here and that's all I got. And you know what? This feels like what's happening. And I got a whole bunch of brothers and sisters that are riding this wave. And that means something to me, you know? Like, I don't know, almost like, you know, it's planned, but it's not predetermined. And it's based on my thoughts as the omniscient force that I am. And that's all I can provide. That's my piece. And then I run into you, it seems like, always in this cyclical nature, and boom, and it becomes more and more obvious, like with you, like using us as an example, like everything, like, I mean, dude, I woke up at, what was it, 3:00 in the morning? Like, I fucking woke up at 3:00 in the morning. Like, I'm gonna wake up at 3:00 in the morning. I went to bed at and it wasn't, anyway, like 2.5 hours before. And I mean, I'm up and I'm like, what in the hell is this? And then all of a sudden I hear bing, and Martin's like, yeah, I'll do today. I'm like, okay, okay, here we go. You know, like the Yellow Brick Road. I didn't mean I didn't mean to interrupt you. You get me
I don't know if
excited.
you did. I don't know if you did. I don't think you did.
I was going to ask you though.
I wanted
Go
to
back.
ask you something about. Go.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead, because I know what I'm good. This is something from way back you were talking about. Go ahead.
Yes, it was because I was curious. I'm sure we talked about it, but memory. We know we haven't carried much memory forward. When did you and Morgan get together? Because I think it's the same year.
We got together on September the 3rd, 2015.
Oh yeah, so it was
By
2 months before. It was
texting,
we were December 2015. I wanted to ask because you said 9 years coming up, and it's the same for us.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did talk about that before. I knew it was very close. So you were around the equinox. You were around the equinox of 2015. We were the solstice of
Yeah.
2015.
Oh wow, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, and it seems like God, it's just weird. The whole thing is weird. It doesn't even seem like a pass. It seems like the multidimensionality. The more I look, I'll tell you what. We got this when we reconnected on the 11 on the November 9th, 23. We came back, and it was almost comical. Like the way it unfolded, like I think we talked like 3 times that day on Zoom. And first we were like looking at each other, and it was just reverence, you know, there was nothing to be said. And then all of a sudden it's like a laugh. And I'm going, good God, it's just you and me. You know, it's just us. This is all us, you know? And so it went through this whole progression of this higher level of self-awareness. Yeah, I don't know. You just made me fall back into that. I wanted to ask you though. I'm sorry, because you know, like you said, the memory thing. You talked about these because I think it's really important. You talked about these men's groups that weren't necessarily light worker groups or spiritual groups
No.
that you went into. I'm curious if there's anything that you can offer as to what you discovered in the energetic field of what you observed and participated in with these men.
I can say straight away is like what you said. I think one of the biggest challenges for men is this distorted sexual energy. That's the one that stands out massively. The connection with emotions, it would be other, but this distorted energy around sexuality, and I think the influence that brought that in, and how that was just wild for me to see it. I don't know how I became so disconnected from it. Like I was just like, what? I was just sat there like, wow. And so I think, so much of the society, so much of the media, so much of what we grew up with in these generations is really, going deep to, we can say, a weakness in the human masculine to diverge towards that. And so I think for men and women, for men or for women to understand men, and for men to understand themselves, that there has been like a huge, you mentioned the word psyop, there's, I don't know what we would call this, but there's like a huge energy, and it affects, of course, both men and women, but it's mostly directed at the masculine. that has been like a huge, like every area of life, it's kind of infiltrated, and it's like it's there under the surface. And that's what I saw hugely. And I think that's something that really needs heart. It needs like really challenging conversations. It needs support. It needs awareness is the biggest thing. And then I just saw like so much of like men like literally could not, and I get it because I was this way, could not even put a word onto how they're feeling. It's like literally impossible for them to say how they felt. Like they had to, they would put like word, like these things were really cool. Actually, it was like an emotional wheel to help try and say what emotion. So you can imagine if
Wow.
that's the majority of men on the planet, which probably it is, it was nearly impossible for them to say how they felt. And
Wow,
they're
dude.
they're in a men's circle. They're like on a path of self-discovery, of self-realization. Again, it's not light work or multidimensional. There was a little bit of that, but very, very little. And if you imagine that the collective of humanity, if they're
That's
in
wild.
that way, you got that double whammy.
Yeah.
That's a big, that's a lot of work. And of course, that's something that I like. You can only deal with what you've got here. And so it's something that I obviously am dealing with my son as much as possible, and unlearning lots of things that I learned, and um, going through that. But those are the two big things. Like, well, it's the main overarching thing. The suffering of man was way more than I thought. Way more. I was so disconnected from it. The distorted sexuality, and then like the most basic of being able to say I feel this, or that's what
Wow.
this feels like. I feel like this. I would say those are the main things that popped up.
That's true. That's trippy,
Mm.
man. I never thought of it in that context. I never had somebody actually explain it. In fact, everything would fall flat when people would the rare times when people would address that. And I think part of the reason for that, and I'm not saying this to be disparaging, is it would be coming from a female.
Mm.
And now through my relationship and talking with Morgan and us working through things, I would tell her, like, okay, I'll tell you a classic pattern would be, and I think this women can relate to this. Okay, now I didn't know this, so it's very much about the discovery that you made, but I made about myself, right? So we always want to please them, man. This is what we do. Now, the way we designed this matrix, we were the we were the we were the ones that we were the soldier, right? We were the ones that actually went out there and because we're the physical, it's the masculine. We went out there, we're the ones that did all the shit. You know what I mean? So therefore we got the bad rap. So deep
Mm.
down inside, obviously, our feminine side is going to be pointing the finger at us, but we're actually pointing at ourselves too. We know,
Mm.
it's hurting our soul to do to perform these atrocities if it's a war or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So the question would be, and women can relate to this, it would be, what are you feeling?
Mm.
And then you go, well, and then what happens? Projection, defense,
Yeah.
macho man,
Yeah.
like what kind of question, and then it started to transform because I don't know about you, man, even if she were here every day, or whoever was around me, I'm telling you, the last year, super solitude. Like I gotta have 2-3 hours, man, during the day. I gotta go for these walks for an hour in the bayou. I gotta have that time, right?
Mm.
Why? Because I trying to figure out who the hell, what am I feeling, right? So I
Yeah.
would tell her, you know what? I can't talk to you right now. How can I tell you what I'm feeling if I don't even know what I'm feeling? So
There it
I
is.
need to go find out what I'm feeling and then bring it back home, right? Like I can't do that. So that I'm glad to hear you say that because number one, it gives me some validation. And number two, I really believe that this thing's a lot bigger than me and you. And, I mean,
Yeah.
as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So,
Definitely.
you
Definitely.
know,
And I should say, like, the way I was describing that is as if, like, I'm viewing this, like, I'm very much with you on that. I'm there with that as well. I'm saying I was in viewing that, but I still have massively challenged with that as well. Again,
yeah,
we're unlearning like eons of shit. we're unlearning being the unemotional, go out to war and do what you got to do and push through and do things that if you felt your emotions you couldn't do. So I'm totally with you. I say it was just because I was in there with the benefit of being an observer, but I was very much with you. I'm not saying that I
Right.
had somehow
Oh,
transcended that.
no. I hear you,
Not at
man.
all.
I
Yeah,
hear you.
but the level of it, like, we're in this work for some time, and the level of it is like just beyond what I could like imagine. I was like really shocked by that. But
Well,
once awareness comes, then that's the beginning. Now we
that's
know.
it though, right? That's it. That's the whole point. Is
Yeah.
if something comes into our awareness now in our conscious state, I'm even going to go as far as to say is that's it. Go to the next one now. Because
Yep.
it may not change every pattern and behavior that you have in that moment, but you're on your way.
Yes.
Flicks, our friend in YouTube, she's like, afraid to open your heart to a woman, question mark. No, just to reiterate, it was a point in the evolution. It sounds like this is what he experienced and observed as well, where the man finally had enough awareness of his self, because we're Atlas holding the world up. We're holding, we're doing that. We're the soldier, right? We're the one. Like Chris Rock says, what does he say? Women, children, and dogs get unconditional love. The man's on, you know what I mean? It's a joke, but I mean, so this is where we're coming from. So it's not that we're afraid to open our heart to a woman. It's we don't know what the hell's going on with ourselves. We're just
Yeah.
now getting to a point where you're going, okay, wait a minute. Because if I look at what they call emotional intelligence, it's not just knowing your emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at women, you could a lot of times you'll go, oh, women are more emotionally intelligent. No, I don't believe that. I believe they're more emotional, but they have the same challenge as the masculine, which is really, to me, like if you look at the physical part of it, like what is the human weakness and what is the human strength that is unique to the human, and this offering to the universal is taking all this range of emotions and the power that it offers and bringing it together in one voice or one stride or whatever you want to call it. So that's just something that I'm trying to say, Flicks, is I didn't know what was going on with me. And now look, one last thing. So what happens when a woman comes to a man and says, I got this problem? Okay. This is something we've learned. Men have learned, right? This is part of this intelligence. And what is it? First of all, what does a man do? Well, let me fix it. Right? Let me fix it. And it took us, and then they're like going, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. Okay. And you know what? It's actually the same thing. Because what happens when a woman, I mean, when a man goes to a woman, and sometimes doesn't even have to, it's that mother instinct, right? Let me fix it. It's the same thing. Okay. So, yeah, I feel like that. Obviously, this is the last line of separation. The language is actually the same, but you got two different paths that are inverts of each other. So that's where I started to look. And I'll give you one last example. I'm not saying this about Morgan. I'm not saying this about me. I'm just saying this about how we navigate this transition we call ascension, this time and space. Everyone talks about equality and equilibrium and 0 point, and and I started to realize the fallacy of double standards being a bad thing. Now, I don't want to be guilty of a double standard. And I thought anyone I associated with, any collaborator, be my partner, or anybody else, that, a double standard is bullshit. Then I started to realize, wait a minute. If I'm good at some things and Martin's good at other things, right? Whether they be the balance of emotions in certain areas or be they skills or talents, then yeah, there's a fucking double standard that would serve us. Now, maybe not, it's not a temporal, it's temporary because it's transitional and everything is constantly evolving. But yeah, I think we gotta open up to, you got these hard and fast absolutes that we know in the long term, this is how we rock. Okay. But we're never going to get to that state of perfection, right? That's not what this is about. We are that, right? Why the hell do we want to get there? This is why we came here, to experience this whole ride. So I started to realize, Todd, not speaking to anyone else, I've never even mentioned this, not even to Morgan, because it was just something that I corrected in myself. It was that openness. It was like, okay, let me think about this mathematical equation. If I accept this in the other person, because I can see them for what they offer, not in like what they're weak, like what is deficient, but to actually look at their positives, which can teach me something, and not make it a point like a football between us of content or of discontent or contention, but actually accept it, right? And see the value of it. And then everything starts shifting. Like my mother, even dealing with this situation I was talking about, which involves a lot of different family members, I'm going into it, and instead of going into it like humming and toning and walking on water and trying to be this, I'm going in with the full gamut of like what we talked about earlier, the dark and the light. That's part of what helped me to expand the spectrum, particularly on that side that we don't look at, because I'm pretty open to it. But yeah. So I mean, there's just things that we have taken we've taken it on without looking under the hood. We just say, okay, that's right. You know what? Everybody, if you do this, you're pious and you're 100%, and but wait a minute, wait a second here. So I think the last thing I would tell you too, because obviously a lot of people know. I mean, I lived a pretty wild life, and and we all have set this stuff up. So the barometer for me now: shame, blame, externalization. Pretty easy to spot where we were ignoring and denying 10 years ago. So we made a lot of progress, and I think that's another thing we need. We can it's okay, because we were told this too. You can't be too proud. Who do you think you are, sanctimonious SOB? No, we've kicked ass, and I think it's okay to pat ourselves on the back. It doesn't mean, hey, you just put up your feet on the table and say, okay, I'm done. No. I think and I guess that's what I'm saying is doing that within myself. I can then it then comes out in my playmates, right?
Amazing, brother. I want to honor that journey you're about to go through, because as I said to you, when I'm dealing with this etheric or these other entities, like, that would be terrifying to others, it's easy for me. But you put me in a room with like what you're, that's the real master. That's the
Dude,
real master.
dude,
That's the
I'm
real
talking. I'm talking. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to probably start crying. All right, I'm going to tell you something I have never said publicly. Okay, how deep this shit goes. All right, I know my heart. I think people know me. I've been around long enough. People, because you can't fake this shit, right? They know who you are. They know who I am. I said when I started having children. Okay, I have 6 beautiful children, right? And I was already on the path. I was 22 when I got my first books, and by 24 I probably had 800 books, and they were all metaphysical philosophies, Far Eastern religions, everything, and I was in it. Meditation, and so journaling, and so I would have these come to Jesus meetings and with myself and the universe and whatever, and it would all come back to, would you ever harm anybody? And I'm like, no. Are you sure? Well, what? And then you go down the list, right? What if somebody sexually violated your kid? And I said, well, I would remove that person and I would not get caught. That's me saying this, right?
Of course.
Now, would I actually have done that? I don't know. But if I said it, it was possible.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, right? Lo and behold, motherfucker, you know? And right in your back door, right in your backyard, right in your house. And then on top of it, to see the culpability of so in other words, if you know about it and you hide it, it's the same energy as doing it because you're perpetuating that whole thing. Now, this isn't to demonize anybody. This is what we're breaking through.
Yeah.
This is where everybody comes to the table and says, well, you were the physical perpetrator. You were the physical victim. You were the one that didn't tell anybody. You're the one that told the people don't say anything. And we all know this, especially the women. Okay. You know, you get something happens and don't tell anybody. We don't want anyone to know. Okay. So when you can all bring all those aspects to the table and you can say, we're all in this together. We've all been duped. We've all been part of this. However you want to explain it, we're all equal participants. How can you be an equal puzzle of the cosmic jigsaw and have no participation in the whole? You know what I mean?
That's the separation bypass. I want to be on the side of good, and I want to put all that stuff away, and I'm going to ascend to the fifth dimension, and everything's going to be rosy. That's it. It's the separation delusion, really. And so, just really honor you, brother, because I was born in Ireland, and what you're talking about is like in that country, and like unbelievable, like. Well, not unbelievable. Everyone here knows now because so much stuff has come out that how widespread this is and this influence and how it's like beyond, I would say, most people's ideas of how rife this was. And now is the time.
Dude, if you look at okay, where is the common denominator between the genders in terms of access or violation or whatever you want to call it? It's the anus. Okay, that's what it is. Now, I'm not saying everyone's been physically violated there. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if we look at the whole thing, if you look at sex magic, if you look at these secret fraternities, if you know anything about how they indoctrinate and initiate, it's all done through this dark sex magic. And somehow or another, and then if you look at the location of the reptilian tail, look, the bottom line is it is about awareness. And there is an all or nothing proposition. And we're either going to be 100% compassionate or we're not. And that's it.
There's no other. That's it. You don't get a little bit in and a little bit out. You don't get to not get your feet dirty. You don't get to not see this. You don't get it. Well, you can bypass it and you can have the experience that you wish, but I think we all know now that this is what is appearing, and this is the core of this human control, let's say, or however we want to express it. And now, because this has come into the room and shown its face, now is the time for what we've been preparing for, the real work, and you're straight in there at the front line. So honor as always, brother. Thank you,
dude. So what are you doing now, man? We got a few more minutes. What are you up to now?
Who knows? I have no idea.
Same here.
So I'm 160 something days into reading a quote from a book. I channeled a book. I was supposed to do a book for about.
You channeled a book?
Yeah, I channeled it live. So it literally, I resisted. I didn't want to sit down and write it, so I channeled it live. And before I went on this, before I disappeared, I channeled it vocally live. And so now I've got the book, and I'm every day for a year. I'm doing one quote from the book, so I'm doing that.
Okay, so you channeled not all at one time? Did you channel it all at one time?
It was 8.5 hours, but it was done like 3 chapters at a time, once a week. So it was done. It was 8.5 hours the book, because I went and
Dude,
looked at it.
that's freaking, that's so powerful. So you're okay. So I just want to understand it. So you knew, guided, compelled. You wrote a book
I was
verbally.
supposed to write it properly, like write
Oh,
it,
I
and
got
I
you.
never wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
then we sort of came to a cosmic agreement that okay, we would do it live. So it needed a community. So there's a community at the time, and every Wednesday I would come on Zoom. We'd go in the community, and 3 chapters would come through, and then
Wow.
and there's 33 chapters. So yeah.
Wow,
So
dude, that's
the time.
crazy. That's crazy. You know, but here we go again. All these because you know, for years, I'm talking like back to 2013, 2014. You know, write a book, man. There was enough there already to write a book. You know,
Of
but
course.
I can't even write anymore. You know what I mean? I don't. It's like no, like 2 weeks ago, because I had this long hiatus. I'm sitting here in the room where I spend most of my time on my back, you know, just trying to kind of integrate everything. And I heard, you need to get up and you need to get on here now. And I'm like, what are you know, what am I going to do? No, you just push live and you just go on. So like 3 days in a row, I'm on there for an hour and a half, you know, which isn't, you know, I've done a lot of that, but I mean, not like that, like what you're talking about. And I just start talking about, I don't even know what I'm going to talk about until I push the button. And then I'm back 12 years ago. I'm on the streets. I'm telling these stories. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, I think that is kind of representative of how things are evolving.
Yeah.
Okay. So like what used to be will always be, but this is how it works. This is how we break through and walk through veils, is to actually remix and put new births out there. And then it's in the morphogenetic field and people pick it up.
Yeah.
And then it begins to expand more and more. So I'm really happy that you shared that with me, because I have no idea what will happen with Soulology. I know a couple things. Like I won't be scheduling more than a few days out ever again. Like you hit me up at 3 a.m. and we're on 8 hours later, right? And that's how the last few shows have gone. I'm going to get in touch with Mary Costello, because she said I'll go on your show. I thought she had said she wouldn't. I may be getting her mixed up with someone else. That'll be you know what I mean? So it's just more of the spontaneous, intuitive, you know, in the moment kind of thing. It's not that's actually, if you really think about it, that's what's been kept from us. That's what's been, you know, what we've been distracted from. It's not about information. It's not about that. Information has its place. It's about being. It's about a field of you know, as much of 100% of openness, love, wisdom, creation, masculine, feminine, golden child. I mean, it's a Taurus. You know, it's a Taurus. Yeah,
Absolutely.
natural flow. Somebody said, you know.
Yeah, that's what it is. And do you know, it's funny because I'm like you. When I'm at my real flow, it's just hit live and whatever comes. So reading the quotes from this book has been a bit of a challenge for me, to be honest, because it was channeled vocally through me, but I'm reading it because I can't remember it. Of course, I'm reading a quote, and it's been good, and it's something I've agreed to do for a whole year. I'm 165 days into it.
Wow.
But my real passion, love, is hit live and verbal diarrhea, as they say in Ireland.
Are you so did you once you verbally did this, the 33 chapters, did you have to go and listen to everything and write it, or did you run it through an app or something that would put all the text out for you?
This is I was blessed by a beautiful being, Katrina, my sister. She's part of the community, and she wanted to transcribe it. So I was like so blessed, because I resisted doing, like, writing it down, doing all this stuff. And she offered to transcribe
Wow.
it, which was absolutely amazing. And then
Wow.
she gave me the text, and then I went through the text and like very minor edits, to be like surprisingly very minor edits. There's some things like vocal word didn't translate very well into written, but 99% of it is the way it came through. So yeah, she did that, which was an amazing gift, and thank you to Katrina for that blessing. And so yeah, a whole year. So I started on equinox of 23, and it'll go to September equinox this year. One video every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, where do you do this, on YouTube or
I've
where?
been doing it on YouTube. And yeah,
What's
it'll
your
start.
what's your what's your YouTube channel
It's just on my
name?
name, but I think
Oh,
because I think the name they don't let me. Everything got shut off. Everything
yeah,
got shut off for pretty
yeah.
much 2 years. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just my name, but I think it's like all sorts of weird numbers and letters now. But I think if you search the name, I'm the only one there, I think.
Yeah, I would think with your name, you
Yeah,
could be tracked
especially the
down.
surname. Yeah. So yeah, doing that, and yeah, nothing much else. If I'm honest, there's been nothing else. That's the core mission every day. And now, yes, I've been starting this opening now, just hitting live. I'm getting up at sunrise, and just hitting live. Whatever comes. That's the
I saw some of
real.
those.
Gist.
I saw some of those. Yeah,
Yeah,
I saw some of
that's the
those. I've
gist
done
for
it.
me.
Yeah, that's cool. I've always liked that stuff. I've shared a lot of that stuff you've done over the years when I used to do a lot of remixes. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
I feel pretty good about this. I think
beautiful.
this is definitely meaningful. And Bruce, you want to go on today? Let's go on today. My phone was out for a while. Bruce and other people that were trying to. I go through these periods where, like, the money gets tight, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna pay my bill. I got a Wi-Fi
No,
here, and the phone stops dinging. But yeah, I think it's time. It's again, we're coming up for bat again, basically, and the spring
yeah,
is upon
yeah,
us, and if you look at the cycles of the last few years, it's unmistakable. The only thing that's different is the collective field. You could say, how do you say it? It's become more balanced. It's become a bigger palette. It's more fluid. It's reciprocating
yeah,
in a more natural way because we're aligning with our nature. There's a lot of
yeah.
ways to say it. So I'm really happy to spend this time with you. I really,
It's an
I
honor, brother.
love you a
Love
lot
it.
and your family, and I really feel like that we'll be doing some more stuff,
Yeah,
and in a natural
love it.
unfolding way. But yeah, man, and if you need
Thank you,
anything
brother.
from me, man, just reach out, and I'm
Thank you,
always
brother.
up for whatever.
Thank you for always like keeping going. I know you said you had this little hiatus, but your hiatus is like in relation to what you've put out there is like so minuscule. I said to you that like I disappeared for 6 months, a year, 2 years. You disappeared for a few weeks. So just like really honoring again your longevity and your like keep go like it's unreal. It's amazing. Really honor that, brother. Thank you for keeping going because you've helped so many people when they're in their ups and downs and giving platform to people as well. So thank you, brother, and thank you for
Right
continuing.
on, man. Right on, man.
We don't give up.
Mm. Love you, brother.
Love you, brother.
All right,
Thank
best
you,
to your
everyone.
family. Probably be
Yes,
back
they're just
today.
arriving.
Oh, y'all
They're just
driving?
arriving.
Are you?
They're,
Huh?
they're just arriving to the tiny home
Oh,
on
I
wheels.
thought.
I just really come in.
Oh, we're at perfect
The
timing.
illusion, you see, the illusion is fading. It's getting dark here. The green screen's failing here behind me.
Right on, man. All right, man.
Okay, bro. Thank you.
Take care.
Much
Love
love.
you.
See you soon.